Oregon lawmakers could soon make it easier to force someone into mental health treatment. A bill to adjust state standards for civil commitment was discussed this afternoon. Advocates say changes are needed to get people help before they're dangerous to themselves or others. Opponents fear it could be a slippery slope when it comes to personal rights. It's a topic investigative reporter Evan Watson has covered extensively over the past 3 years.
Oregon lawmakers are considering major changes to the state's civil commitment laws, making forced mental health treatment a more accessible option for people in crisis. For years, family members of people with severe mental illness, like Kristen Benton, have called for change.
The only option to get help here is and have someone be in a safe spot to save your family and them is to be in jail.
District attorneys, including Washington County's Kevin Barton, say Oregon's strict standards have effectively criminalized severe mental illness.
The process waits for a crime to occur, and then the criminal justice system has to step in as the system of last resort, and that often is the only pathway someone has toward some level of mental health treatment. That is an absurd way of approaching this issue.
Even Governor Tina Kotek names reform as one of her priorities.
Why is it okay that we watch very ill people harm themselves because we are unwilling or unable to get them the health care they so desperately need?
The proposed bill would redefine dangerousness, allowing a judge to consider a person's past behavior and the risk of danger to themselves or others in the near future when considering a civil commitment. Forced treatment is rare. Leaders with Disability Rights Oregon say that's for good reason. It takes away a person's right to make their own health care choices. DRO agrees that Oregon's mental health system is broken, but says expanding community treatment options needs to be first priority.
Everybody wants a fix that can happen tomorrow that's very simple, and it feels like involuntary treatment is the answer. But the reality is that we need to build out our voluntary treatment.
People should be able to get care in their own home and community. They shouldn't have to wait until they're locked up or sent away to the state hospital, sometimes hundreds of miles from where they live.
Chris Bonoff, executive director of NAMI Oregon, believes in that too. He says any change to forced treatment standards must be met with investment in community treatment options and hospital beds, and other bills address that. But it's clear to him that Oregon needs civil commitment reform for the most severe cases.
It's ridiculous that all of us might look at somebody and say, you know what, it's time to intervene here, and we can't. And so we have to solve that problem.
Evan Watson joins me now. So Evan, what did you note from testimony in Salem today?
Yeah, Blair, we've seen efforts to change civil commitment laws in recent years, but they've gone mostly nowhere dying committee. This year's effort seems to have more of a push behind it. Among the people that I heard testify today were judges, doctors, medical providers, lawmakers, supportive housing providers, the First Lady, Amy Kotek Wilson, and of course, people with lived experience with mental illness and their family members. Among them, one that the story viewers might recognize is Hunter Graham. We shared Hunter Graham's story last year, and he shared his testimony in front of lawmakers today. In talking with Hunter Graham last year, he talked about his son, Austin Graham, in a severe mental illness crisis who tragically killed his own mother, Hunter's wife. Austin is now getting treatment in the state hospital and getting better. Because of Oregon standards, the Grahams couldn't force him into care before it was too late, which is part of what Hunter shared today as well. It's important to note, though, as well, this is not a bill with unanimous consent. People testified against this as well, worried about the rollback of personal rights to make health care decisions and also the many side effects that civil commitment and forced medication can have. But interesting to watch the pace pick up on this topic in this year particularly.
Yeah, very interesting. And also, you know, the fact is a civil commitment, it's a last resort. So, you know, while this would change state regulations, it doesn't necessarily mean it will be widely used, right?
That's correct. Yeah, it would be changing the requirements for dangerous to others or dangerous to self, adding definitions in there. But very few people reach the stage of civil commitment at all. And everyone on this topic, supporting or opposing this measure, seems to say that, hey, we want to invest upstream, the voluntary treatment options, the other kind of beds and capacity. We need to do a lot more of that. That's going to affect many, many more people, but it's for those most severe cases, the most extreme cases, oftentimes the ones that we end up talking about here on the news. Those are the cases that medical providers and others are saying, please, we need the resources to get them help because we can see this being bad and we want to step in before it gets there.
All right, Evan Watson, thanks so much.